Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm a laughing salesman, here with your monthly market and a cart full of wares. And sorry I have not come around as often, but in case you cannot hear the air conditioner and several fans, it's hot. And I'm not exactly a character dressed for hot. So do expect to see me till it closer to winter. I say as if I'm not planning on playing cards in a few months. Either way, I have a new stack of items ready for your tables. Let's find something which fits your game, shall we? First up is a one-of-a-kind deer relic, Gaspodar's Signet. This is the ring which was owned by Cheliax royalty for many years, up to and including the last ruler of pre-Xanthuun Cheliax, King Gaspodar. He was a full believer in Eredin, and was devastated by the god's death, as well as his lands, and eventually his own life in an assassination. The assassins took the signet, finger and all, and preserved it in honey, a grisly prize for the fall of Cheliax. However, while the ring has no magical properties, if it were to return, especially on someone's fingers, it could be a powerful symbol to unite all anti-Xanthuun forces. As for where the ring can be found, well, it is said the Midnight Temple, a famed Igorian temple to Asmodeus, were the ones who sent the original assassin, and are the ones currently keeping their precious trophy. Of course, it is not the only artifact for the Dark Kingdom here today. Next on the docket, we have Nightglass. Dangerous stuff. It's from the doll, blessed of Xanthuun, and is said to be connected to his prized possession, the first shadow. Users of the glass can call forth shadows into the world to serve their bidding. However, overexertion can allow the within to become the without, or the without within. The user gets trapped in a mirror and replaced with their shadow, whichever one that qualifies as. Either way, these relics are rare, and if they ever end up in non-Indolese hands, the worshippers of Xanthuun will hunt down to retrieve their god's sacred relic. Despite their best efforts, however, there are currently 3 floating around. One at the bottom of Desperation Bay from when the 3 captains sunk the Cheliax Navy. One was stolen by Strix of the Mendora Mountains. And one is on the Absalon black market. I'm sure you will be offered a fair price. Up front, that is. Next, a third national symbol for lands we have been through recently. We have Draddeth Edge of Morthune. This hammer once belonged to General Lord Draddeth, who is known for his overwhelming victories in the Cheliax Civil Wars and the march to Morthune's freedom. He claimed his hammer was enchanted, and was responsible for many of his victories. And it was. A +1 defiant transformative warhammer, with the power to whisper military strategies into people's heads. A +12 bonus to Profession Soldier, and +7 to Sense Motive, along with the ability to cast magical aura on itself, and able to teleport itself wherever it wants to. Draddeth donated the hammer to the nation at his death, but the hammer is not a display piece. It desires to go out, find a young soldier, and turn them into a military genius before departing again. And with the fact of its transformativity, well, finding it, even when it's gripped in your hands, can be difficult. One more national treasure, we have the Iron Road. Treasure of Lungwa in Tianxi. But wait, why a treasure from halfway around the world? Well, because I believe our Loremaster took the time last week to talk about Devil's Talismans. Stole my thunder, but it was so hot last week. Anyway, a lord of the failing kingdom was under siege from his enemies. In desperation, he made a contract and managed to achieve victory. In a way. The siege was broken, but the remnants found his castle empty and him mad. And so his kingdom became part of Cowling, one of the Hobgoblin nations. The Iron Road is a melancholic talisman, housing the Hellmouth named Zippo. One of his mouths leads to the Seventh Spire in Avernus, where demons can be brought as mercenaries for whatever war you need. After all, it's a quick way to train soldiers. The Ettermouth connects to the trading house known as Sock Sinister in Dis, where rare treasure can be bought or ordered. However, like all melancholic talismans, the tunnel only stays open for 10 minutes, and the devils on each end are well aware of this limit and will abuse it to trap unaware mortals. So you better talk fast. Now we go from treasures of the largest civilizations to treasures owned by the smallest, as in halflings. There is a story of a folklore named Nolly Peltry, who enraged a giant dire bear and tried to hide from it atop a tree. You know, the things bears know how to climb. Cornered, she called on Gazra to help, which they did, causing the bear to disappear. However, as it was pulled away, a shard of the tree bark was broken off. Nolly thought it would make a good cutting board and tried to sell it at market, only to find everyone she tried to sell it to turn into wild creatures. She ended up running out of town, the treasure lost. This shard of bark, as one may imagine, is blessed by Gazra. And by blessed, I mean it transforms anyone the owner touches with it into the form of a beast. Well, it does so once per day. The creature can continuously try to turn back, but as its intelligence drains, the transformation eventually becomes permanent. It is currently in the hands of some Gazran worshipping druids, but Ydersius would love to get their hands on a relic that reduces humans to beasts. And speaking of halfling treasures, let us speak of Sounder, the faithful dog. I believe the last time I stopped by I talked on figurines of wondrous power. Sounder is an example of an onyx dog, which, reminder, onyx dogs transform into a dog with exceptional tracking skills, as well as 8 intelligence and the ability to speak common. Truly man's best friend. And in turn we have Sounder's owner, who was Michiru Bootstealer. Nowhere is it said that she was a halfling, but come on. What other creature would have Bootstealer as their last name? Michiru was a shy bard, and Sounder gave her the kind of friend she was comfortable with. Well, Miss Bootstealer would eventually pass. Sounder lives on, with all the stories his mistress told him still contained in his head. Because some things are worth more than physical goods. Next we have an old classic back from the days of D&D. Orbs of Dragonkind. Hey, anyone remember that Tiamat is officially part of Pathfinder lore, even if she tends to avoid Golarion? During the war between Apsu and the Hawk, Tiamat shed 10 tears for the fallen, which absorbed their souls and formed the first Orbs of Dragonkind. There are several imitations and Rico versions, but there are only 10 originals, though Primal and Appeal Dragons are statted without explanation of their history. Either way, The orbs allow one to dominate dragons a la Dominant Monster from 500 feet away, with them being unable to save. It also protects you for the kind of dragon's breath of that dragon, while in turn allowing you to use said dragon breath yourself. You also cause dragons to hate you, but small price to pay, really. There are claims the orbs can be destroyed, as all artifacts can, with the two dragon gods each having a method in their divine realm. And Regadon, the eldest known as the Father of Dragons, gives various methods he guarantees works, but are so out there many thinks they are just fake tricks. We have several examples of these orbs. The Stormheart of Hell, artificially made to control blue dragons. The white orb in the hands of Joxarm the Dragonbreaker. The red was until recently in the hands of giants. The copper orb, also known as the Song of the Dawning Star, was owned by a famous Tuvian and given away in her will, but was stolen before the destination was reached. And one more. The Mengkare Shards. These are the shards of the Golden Dragon Orb. When Mengkare started his legendary grand endeavor on his island kingdom of Hermia, he publicly destroyed the orb. As a sign, he posed a threat to no other nation. Then, after he rejected several embassies in order to not give other nations power and influence over his lands, he instead gave other nations shards of the orb as a sign of goodwill. While it has no individual power shattered, it has not stopped some of the despicable organizations from trying to reassemble the orb, though if that will ever happen, well, that's a story for a different topic. From one hidden artifact sought by many to another, we have the Skull of Ydersius. The Serpent God was a single side tangent in the Galgon video, a great lord of the serpent folk who had his civilization cut short along with his head. While the body was cast into the Darklands, where it rages to this day, the head remained where it fell, hidden in the lost city for who knows how long. Many look for the skull to reunite it with the fallen god, either because they wish to resurrect the Lord, or because they need him restored to end him for good. However, the skull has its own powers, as it still has limited consciousness. He still grants his cleric spells. In addition, direct possession of the skull allows all serpents to gain spell resistance and fast healing. An aurora which gives depth ward and freedom of movement to his worshippers, and bane-dimensional anchor to his enemies. And of course, the skull can be used to directly commune with him. Who knows if the world will ever be ready for this beast's return. And our final display today is a taste of the old, but also a brief look at what is upon the horizon. The Xanthuun Tablets. Originally created by the Cyclopean astrologer named Beglion during the height of Galgon, these artifacts are among the premier astrological works of the ancient empire, and potentially are to this day. The first two tablets, the Sun and the Moon, were widely shared. The Void one, well, Old One cards are not anything new. Eventually, a group called the Void Watchers stole the tablets and bound them together with an iron ring. Each of the tablets can be attuned to a person, to only one person at a time. One person can, however, hog all three tablets to themselves if they so desire. The Sun tablet allows future sight, allowing one to roll a d20 3 times and take the best results. The Moon tablet not only makes concentration checks a success, but also keeps the lycanthrope from transforming against their will. Much sought after, of course. Finally, the Void tablet allows one to use the void of space to scry on others, at the cost of some mental damage to the person being scryed on. As for the cabin's current location, they were recently rediscovered by mercenaries who sold the thing to Blood Cove. Which wouldn't be so bad if unexplained circumstances did not happen around where the tablets are held. But explaining the unexplainable is an issue for the Loremaster. So that's where I will cut off today. And that completes today's shipment. Have one more planned stop coming up in the next few months, but I'll leave it to the Loremaster to talk about that. Until then, it's always a pleasure to have you all stop by my shop. I look forward to seeing you all whenever the next time I come around. And hopefully it's not as hot then. No one wants to watch me sweating like a pig.